And Amy, you wanna take a roll then?
Sure. Board Member Reister? Reister?
Here.
Board Member Doyle? Board Member DeBoer?
Here.
Board Member McClure?
Here.
Board Member Cease? And Chair Ray.
Here. And need approval of the agenda as on the screen. Need a motion for that. Okay, second by Mike. Rita, did you make the motion? Yes. Okay. Any corrections or changes? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next on there is approval of the minutes for the previous meeting from October 11 and January 10.
October ones has Mike and I absent, and then it has us making motions and seconding.
Okay, so that correction needs to be made there, Amy, because they were both present for that meeting on October 11. Any other changes or typos? Okay, need a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meetings
That's correct.
as corrected.
So moved.
Brian, is there a second?
Support.
Okay, Mike. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Treasurer's report. We can't really do that till we get our copies. Okay. Let's get that preliminary stuff out of the way.
We just approved the October minutes, but we have the January minutes to approve too.
Okay?
Oh, we rolled those in?
Yeah.
Oh, pardon.
Get that, Amy? We motion to approve. Mike, anything you wanted to bring up while we're waiting for the treasurer's report?
Might as well do the first item.
Yes, public comment.
So, public comment.
Okay, public comments? Come up to the microphone and have your piece, or forever hold your piece. No? Okay. Yeah, sometimes, Amy, there's a lot of packets, and that's why I usually don't prep my own minutes.
Oh.
So, I don't know about the rest of the board,
Yeah.
but,
I never.
Get that.
yeah, so it's nice to have that time. Here they come.
Goodness.
Doris, come here. There's more coming. Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no.
Our current balance is $488,866.01. Our revenue, our TIFA revenue, this fiscal year will be $567,947.
There's about $40,000 still coming, we anticipate, correct?
Yes. From the industrial facilities tax.
Okay.
Any questions for Sue on that? Need a motion to approve the treasurer's report? Okay, Mike Springer,
Support.
Mike DeVore, seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Next on the agenda, old business? No old business? New business?
We'll start with the Riverwalk sound system. A request was received from the Lowell Area Chamber of Commerce to install a sound system for the Riverwalk area. This would allow the city to sound in music throughout the year. the music can be incorporated for Riverwalk, summer concert series, and Christmas events. In addition, we could have music at the site anytime we wish if we had this installed. It definitely would be an enhancement to the area in addition to the showboat improvements already being planned. The plan would be for the cables to be placed at certain points throughout the park. I do have an aerial map kind of identifying where those would be with dots in green. We anticipate 700 feet of cable would be buried in areas along the Riverwalk. And while this wasn't budgeted in the current fiscal year, we do not anticipate having to spend any more additional funds for the sign replacements that we budgeted. We were able to repaint the Welcome to Lowell signs at a significantly lower cost than replacing them. This project must go out for a competitive bid in accordance with the city's purchasing policy. We anticipate the cost of this somewhere between the range of $10,000 and $13,000. So it would have to go out for a sealed bid. But just asking the DDA if they'd be interested in something like this. If they are, we could go out for bid on it and maybe move, hopefully maybe even in the summertime we could have it. But I just wanted to get some feedback from the board. I would recommend, I think this would be an enhancement to the area.
What's the estimated amount?
Somewhere between 10 and 13,000. I've gotten one estimated quote. I don't necessarily want to disclose that because I want that person wants to bid on it, so I don't want to do anything to inhibit their bid.
What's the feeling of the board?
I think it's well worth it. I think it would really enhance the Riverwalk. Absolutely.
Would you be able to zone it? You really wouldn't want the speaker way down at the boat launch would you?
Yeah.
Going on when you have the same thing?
Well, it depends on what you
giving
want.
us
I mean, it depends on where your event spans. I'm sure you could compartmentalize it to where you only want, you've got certain speakers turned on.
Oh, I
turned
see what
off.
you're saying by zoning.
Yeah.
So you could shut it off in some spots.
Yeah.
I don't think Liz is planning to have a Woodstock tour or anything like that.
Yes, I am. Before I die.
But that's surrounding neighborhoods.
We had that for a while.
We had REO Speedway in here one time. Okay, Eric or April, what are your feelings on it?
I think it would be a great asset, just because of like, when we do have the Riverwalk, we always have issues with down at that end, towards the boat launch, because we don't have, the sound doesn't travel from up here down to there. And especially since we have moved a lot of our arts and crafts booths out the way to the end, it's kind of nice to hear the announcements down there. And then with our Christmas visits with them out standing and waiting for Santa outside, then it would be great to have that. Even when our night when we do the carriage rides, we go all the way down to the end of the Riverwalk. I think it would be worth it, especially just even the summer when everybody's out walking around down there. There's tons of people on there.
I think it encourages people to stick around. Music just does that.
Yeah.
I think it'd be an okay addition to the system that we have, the concert itself. I think it'd be important to keep in mind the neighborhood as far as, the volume of that and, how long, pretty tame as far as the timing of that. It kind of ends around 9 o'clock, it gets kind of dark, but at least, keep in mind the direction that it's pointed as far as the neighborhoods, to keep it more going towards the river instead of just a circular speaker, you picture going all directions, but keep in mind the neighborhood and stuff.
And I think, Brian, your question, I'm pretty sure that the gentleman that put together the first proposal, I'm pretty sure that he can do that. He's a sound guy. So I would make sure that we could do something like that, because there'd be times when we don't want that music playing down there, you know what I mean?
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
exactly. And keeping it to a low minimum would be important. I remember we do have speakers outside the chamber, and I remember we left them on playing Christmas music all night, and I think Steve had to go shut it off. So, yeah, we would have to be really sensitive of the neighbors as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
once we have.
this one you can't zone, so, okay?
Thanks. And once we have a firm, number, then it sounds like a consensus of the board that we're Welcome to that, okay? Next on the agenda,
Riverside Drive.
okay, Riverside resurfacing.
For the upcoming fiscal year 2020 budget, I requested an estimate from Williams & Works for reconstructing Riverside Drive from just south of the Backwater Cafe up to the north part of the Lowell Power Building. This consists of approximately 350 feet of road work, which would include asphalt removal, curb replacement, sidewalk repair, sidewalk ramps, a new catch basin, new under drains, and manhole covers. The city requested two separate options for construction. The first option is to simply remove and replace the asphalt. The cost for that would be estimated about $90,000. The second option is to completely reconstruct the roadway and will cost $107,000. While it is $17,000 more, it might be best to have a full reconstruction for this section of road. I'd like the DDA board to consider this project in the next fiscal year. I was going to put it in the budget unless anyone had rejection to it. This would allow the project to go out for bid sometime in June with the intent to begin construction early in the upcoming fiscal year is what I'm hoping to accomplish here. But I wanted to approach the board, see if this was something that they'd be okay with.
I know we've done other projects that are in the DDA district as far as
Yeah,
street resurfacing.
We did Broadway last year.
And any idea what the amount that from the DDA that you,
For Broadway,
Yeah.
last year it was like $88,000.
It's from Backwater to the end of Lowell,
Yes.
to where they,
Yeah, because there's some area there the pavement's still pretty good. I'd hate to replace that, but then right before you get to Backwater, it does get really bad, and then all the way up to the Lowell Power Building, which is really where the district ends.
It's just one block, right?
Right.
Seems like a lot for one block.
No, that's about right.
you
Might be a
motion for,
little cheaper than I thought, actually.
need a motion for that then?
No, I don't need a motion, I just want to get consensus, because so if I put in the budget, no more. Just wanted to get some feedback.
Any other feedback from that? We've done that in the past, so as long as it's in the DDA district, so, okay? Next on the budget, or next on the agenda, fiscal year 2020 budget.
Next month, I'll be presenting to you your budget your proposed budget for the next year. Just wanted to talk to you about a couple things, just to see, just so you're aware, and if there's any issues, obviously you're more than welcome to make changes. We're seeing a significant revenue increase in the last year or two. Compared to what we had in the past. A lot of it has to do with, we've had a lot of new construction the last couple of years. We had an IFT come offline, and the DDA is capturing that. This year, we're anticipating about $570,000 in revenue. We anticipate, while we haven't broken down the pre-board of review taxable value for the district yet, we anticipate it'll be somewhere in that range, probably a little higher, because we're still seeing inflationary increases in property values. But one of the things that I'm going to be asking the DDA to consider, I talked about this last year, was that I think last year I talked to the board about taking on a cost of a police officer. After talking to the city attorney about that, that is not an option for us. The DDA statute doesn't allow us to technically do that. But in our discussions, one of the things we have to do this year is we're trying to alleviate the general fund of some things, mainly because the general fund, there's been a lot more demands on the general fund. For example, I know the council is considering full-time fire in the upcoming fiscal year budget. Plus, in addition, we're going to be, for the next for the next 19 years, we're going to see roughly a $30,000 to $40,000 annual increase in pension costs every year for the next 21 years. That's just if MERS doesn't change basically our return rate, which it looks like they are. If they do, we're going to see a significant cash hike in 1 year, about an additional $100,000, and then probably $30,000 to $40,000 a year going forward. Really, there's no way to really get rid of that, even though we're going to be dealing with that we're going to be dealing with some changes to the benefits package going forward. But costs are going to continue to increase, and the general fund only operates on a $3 million, roughly $3 million budget right now. So, perfect example, why streets aren't getting fixed, unless they're in the DDA district, or currently if they're a major street, they're the only way they're getting fixed. So we're really taking a look at our revenue streams, and what I'd like the DDA to consider doing is, currently you're paying $150,000 of the bond for this building. The annual bond is about $300,000 a year total payment, so you've been picking up about half of it. I haven't figured out the exact dollar amount yet, but I would like the DDA to pick up more of that amount. I don't anticipate. I haven't put the numbers together. I haven't worked on the budget yet, but I'm just kind of in my projections that I did last year and kind of looking at things. That would definitely help the general fund out quite a bit. Also, one other thing we are going to be doing, we've already started doing, is we've reallocated my salary and benefits. I've been spending, especially with some of these projects downtown, I've been spending a lot more time on downtown projects. So we've already started it where it used to be 15% of my salary and benefits came out of the DDA. Now it's going to be 30%. That's, so we're going to be asking for those things. I also anticipate in the next budget, I'm going to try and put some money aside to try and see if we can start putting bump outs out here and maybe address some issues on Monroe. Administratively, we've talked about some things. We haven't really presented a few options, or you or the council options yet, but last summer we talked about some things about how to kind of address this area, and I'd like to actually put some money towards that the next fiscal year. We're in a very good cash position, the DDA right now, so I'm not too overly concerned about what we're trying to do is going to be taxing. And then in addition, I anticipate keeping the same marketing amounts. I know we increased marketing funds last year. I anticipate doing that, those are kind of the things I'm thinking about for your budget next year. If anyone has any questions or reservations about that, please feel free.
Any questions for Mike on that? My feeling on that, on the past, has always been, if the DD wasn't here, this money would be going to the general fund. So we get a lot more because we capture a lot, more. So that kind of offsets it. But I don't really have any problem with the city hall. We've contributed to that. I know the legislatures in Lansing are trying to address this too, statewide.
We'll see.
Pension and stuff. They're talking about it. I don't know if they'll do anything.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see. So.
We've already started knocking down our pension debt. We already have. We made some changes earlier this year to where we are making additional payments on the principal. We owe about our unfunded liability for our pensions about $3.4 million just on the city's end. It's about another 1.8 at Lake Power. So we're starting slowly but surely to chip away at that, but it's something that I inherited.
Sure.
And it's something that we're going to have to address. So we're working on it.
And Lowell's not unique in addressing this. It's
No,
statewide, isn't it?
we're about 64% funded, which is about normal. I mean, it's actually better than a lot of communities. So, but we gotta get it corrected.
And that will be in the next The budget will be in the next week, or next month.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I'll have it next month.
Any other questions for Mike in the 2020 budget? Okay. Moving on to DDA law changes.
We'll walk you through some, January 1st, I think I talked to you about it briefly last year. But city attorney wanted me to share with you this PowerPoint, just to kind of go over it for you, just so you're aware of what's occurring.
Mike, just unplug it and plug it back in. You on a screensaver?
No? You got a flash drive, or we need to start on a flash drive? Oh, it's working now?
Oh, I don't.
I'm just touching it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not going up. Oh, there we go. All right, so earlier last year, the governor signed Public Act 57 of 2018, which was the repeal and recodification of multiple acts related to tax increment finance authorities. This does impact us because it does repeals and recodifies multiple acts related to tax increment finance authorities. And it subjects the TIFAs to standard reporting requirements, and it provides for but it also provides for the continuation of existing tax increment financing districts, and it took effect earlier this year in January. What it did is it actually recodified all of these different authorities. Now in the city, we only operate with the Downtown Development Authority. Well, actually have a Brownfield Redevelopment Authority, but the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority was not impacted by these statutes. So the only one of these state authorities that are allowed that impacts us is the DDA. And so we will have to follow that. It also repealed some things. These are really of no interest to us. We don't have them, so they're really not of issue to us. But what it does is it puts general reporting requirements for 6 of the recodified acts. Things that we're going to have to begin doing is we're going to have to create a website, which we already do, and we're going to have to maintain our access to records. We already put our minutes on there. We already put our annual budget and audits on there. We'll have to put our tax increment finance plan up there, which I believe we already have done. If not, we will get it up. We do have to put our current TIF plan in there, which we have, and then staff contact information, and then any contracts we may have, which we really don't have any. So, but those are going to be things that we're going to be required. We already kind of do this already for some of the other things for the state, just for the city. It's not uncommon for us to do. In addition, it's going to also require us to put information regarding our revenues and describing our annual audit that aren't spent within 5 years. We'll have to justify why, if we've had money sit for 5 years, why it's doing that, or put a time frame in place. One of the things they don't want us to do is just keep building up fund balance and building up fund balance and not doing anything with it. That's been an issue statewide that the legislature's had issues with. I don't know if you recall, a couple years ago, they tried to actually get rid of all TIFAs whatsoever. This was kind of the compromise they came to. Also has to list our accomplishments every year, which we already do that in the budget, so that's just something we just have to put on the page. We'll have to list TIFA projects and investments, and including active and completed projects for immediately preceding the fiscal year. And we also have to put a list of events and promotional campaigns that we do. So these are things we just have to put on our website. And then the records and documents are phased in. So the act requires that 5 years of information be disclosed. Within 180 days of the end of the TIFA's fiscal year, its website must contain 1 year of full information, and then annually thereafter, information shall be updated up to 5 years. If there's no existing website, which doesn't apply for us, the records just have to be kept at the municipality. Reporting requirements. Department of Treasury is required to create a form for TIFAs to use to report their accounts. Treasury shall consult with professional organizations representing municipalities in developing the reporting form. This one's in yellow. Okay, the reforms haven't been created yet. I know we just got a letter a couple weeks ago just asking what authority we have in the city. So I anticipate probably in the next couple of months we'll see that form. Basically, the form is going to require us to have the name of the TIFA, when we were formed, when our plan is set to expire, when we began capturing revenue, our current base year taxable value of the district, unencumbered fund balance for the immediately preceding fiscal year, and encumbered fund balance for the immediately preceding fiscal year. The amount and source of revenue in the account, including the amount from each taxing jurisdiction, any amount in any bond reserve account, amount and purpose of expenditure from the account, amount of principal and interest of any outstanding bonded indebtedness, initial assessed value of the development area or the TIFA district by property tax classification, captured asset value retained by the TIFA by property tax classification. A lot of this stuff you're not going to, obviously it isn't really going to impact you, but I want to at least share it with you. Tax increment revenues received for the immediately preceding fiscal year, whether the TIFA amended its development plan or its TIF plan within the immediate preceding year, and if so, a link to the current development plan as amended, or TIF plan as amended. We just obviously just redid the development plan. We'll come back with the TIF plan pretty soon. And then any additional information the governing body of the municipality or DAT considers necessary.
You have all that information readily available?
Most of it. We keep a lot of it already. I mean, the TIF plan I have in my office, the development plan. We're supposed, a lot of this financial stuff we already report anyway.
It's just collecting it in one spot.
Yeah, I mean, plus we do an annual report every year. We spell this stuff out anyway, which I don't know why they still use that, but it's what they wanted. Just continuing. We have to obviously provide our audit. The Treasury is going to be required to collect reports and combine information. And they're going to give it to the legislature, make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. They're going to be doing this statewide. Within 90 days of the Act's effective date, each TIFA required to send Treasury a copy of or link to current adopted development plan or TIF plan, if separate from the development plan. Did they ask us for that?
I haven't seen that.
I haven't seen that either. So these are the penalties if we don't comply. Treasury could institute proceedings to compel enforcement. Treasury could send written notification to each TIFA in non-compliance, each taxing jurisdiction subject to capture, and the governing body of the establishing municipality, and we would have to comply within 60 days. If we don't comply, it would result in the ability to capture beyond bonded indebtedness and other obligations for the period of non-compliance. During non-compliance period, TIFA could not amend or approve a TIF plan. If non-compliance period exceeds 2 consecutive years, the TIFA could not capture the amount needed for bond debt without resolution from establishing municipality in each taxing jurisdiction subject to capture. and excess funds captured will be returned to the taxing jurisdictions per statute. We also have to have informational meetings. We're going to do this for our April meeting. But we have to hold 2 informational meetings each year, and we have to notify all the tax jurisdictions and within at least 14 days in advance. And they don't really tell you what the informational meeting is. It's just a regular meeting. I mean, there's nothing that we have to do at that meeting. We just have to call it an informational meeting. So if the other jurisdictions show up, I don't know what they really haven't given us any guidelines. They just said we have to have an informational meeting. Doesn't give any guidelines. The way I understand it, it's just like a normal meeting.
And the other ones are the school system?
No, we capture county, all county taxes, airport, KDL. We don't capture, community college. We do not capture schools. I believe back in the mid-90s, they ended the school capture. So we no longer capture for school district or ISD.
So we have to notify those entities that we're going to have that information.
Correct. We have to have 2 meetings a year.
They might come and plead with us to not capture their money.
Well, the only one right now that actually has the authority, has the ability to opt out are libraries. They changed that law a couple years ago. I've talked to the KDL. They don't intend to opt out. I don't know if that would, I think that could create some issues if they started doing that countywide. And then, for all practical purposes, the board's financial arrangements, notes, obligations, contractual rights, and duties and development and TIF plans continue despite repeal. And the members who are on the authorities, they continue to keep their terms. So none of those requirements still change. It's just really what it required was the reporting requirements and the informational meetings. So, anyone have any questions?
Are those government regulations?
I love government regulation.
So the only thing dealing with us is we have to spend the money.
Yeah. Basically.
But we can always spend the old money and then the new money just carries on.
Yeah, as long as we're, I mean, basically what they don't want us doing is trying, unless we have a major project that we want to set money aside for, like say over 5 years. They don't want us basically just sitting on hoards of money, which we don't. I mean, we're in good financial shape, but my former jurisdiction sat on a $4.5 million fund balance for a long time, and that probably would be, they'd probably have an issue with that, but that's been dwindled down quite a bit, but we don't do that, so I don't see that being, but there are a lot of authorities out there that they build up ridiculous fund balances, and a lot of them, quite honestly, I question whether or not they should even be downtown development authorities, because they don't have downtowns, but the state allows them to do it. But we're not in that situation.
Okay, any questions for Mike? Good. Don't need a motion or anything on this, I assume, just a point of information for us.
Yep.
Item 8 on the agenda is reports and member comments. Rita? Eric?
Good.
Okay. I don't have any other comments, so we will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Can stay here.